can say he should do to say he's done it all.
He won that championship. That was it.
Everything. He's done everything. He's scored a lot of assists.
The only thing that can cap off his career is becoming Mr. Basketball.
So why is it that when I watch Ryan Odom, did I feel like he's the best player? Every time I watch Ryan Odom play, I feel like I'm seeing something special. Like I'm seeing something that I'm not gonna maybe not see again. I said that for a long time. BJ Boston was my favorite high school player in Georgia. I don't get that feeling that I'm seeing something I'll never see again. It's the Love of the Game podcast. Lock, I think that's you on the echo, dog. Let's see. Hold on. Yep. Lock.
Hold on.
Damn, Lock.
He looked like he in a hostage situation.
Hold on.
It looked like he
trapped in the closet.
Something. Like, why he holding his hands right there like he got a little joystick in his hand or something like that?
I don't know what's going on with Lock, man. Is he shell shocked from this weekend? Y'all did too much, bro.
Hey, man, it took me 2 days, maybe 3 to recover from that.
It was a lot.
Hey, don't give me 4 ever again. You give me three apiece.
What is he doing with his hands, bro? I don't know what he's doing with his hands, bro.
He's like on a desktop or something.
You trying out a new computer, Lock? What's going on, bro?
Nah, I ain't at home. I'm in Albany. I'm on my niece's laptop. I literally
You trying to blame it on your niece? That's real foul, dog.
No, I'm not bringing it. I'm not blaming. Is the mic that bad?
We'll deal with it, man. Just turn your sound down a little bit. We'll try to get through the echo. I'll mute you when you're not talking. It's all good.
How about now? That's better.
That's better. That's better. Here we go. Well, that was the intro. Hey, man, it's the Love of the Game podcast, man. I am so happy to see all of you guys. I appreciate everybody. I see y'all filing in, man. We got folks on Twitter. We got folks on Twitter in here. We got Facebook users on here. Of course, YouTube. We got oh wow, Twitch. Y'all in the building. Okay. Appreciate y'all for joining, man. Here's one thing, just one quick announcement. Periscope is about to be sunset, man. So Twitter is getting rid of Periscope. It could impact our ability to live stream directly on Twitter. So make sure you go to YouTube, search Love of the Game podcast, hit that subscribe button, hit like on a couple of your favorite episodes, turn notifications on, and you'll get a notification every time we go live. You'll never miss a show. That's the best way to do it. And you never want to miss one of the mystery guests that we're going to bring on, because there are no suckers in our circle, man. So that's going to continue today. Man, if y'all don't already understand and know, like, y'all see the Twitter handle up here, y'all see this man's face, y'all should, if you're a basketball person, you should know what it is. But if you're not from Georgia, because we do have, I be feeling bad because, like, we have listeners that are like in California and in a lot of listeners in Texas, and we talk as if they know what's happening in Atlanta. Well, if they listen to our show, they know what's happening in Atlanta. But we got the hey man, the OG baseline to sideline, the one of the best evaluators in the game.
Hey, he had a name before that. He had a name before that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I don't think I don't think Dre knows his name before that. I'm gonna leave that one.
I know when I met Fonzo, well, not when I met him, when I first seen him, I was at the Adidas Gauntlet with Celtics, the Kobe Simmons team with Josh Langford.
That was a heck of a team, though, by the way.
Drove way to North Gwinnett. Funny, you knew Fonzo was important because when you just see a guy sitting on the corner just chilling, he's not saying anything to anybody. He's just sitting there taking notes, and I'm just looking like I'm gonna have to get to know him. Out of that, I need to know this important in this basketball world.
Hey,
Like, I was saying Fonzo before I saw Sean.
yeah, real shit. Like I was and shit back in the day when I used to do like 4th and 5th grade. When I first started coaching, that's when we first.
Look, I was posted up in them games too.
Hey, when Madison Durr was a 4th grader.
Shoot, Madison Durr and Caleb Blackwell were going at it.
Ooh.
He's literally in every gym. I don't think that I've been to a gym this year that he hasn't been in.
Dude, this is the original Mr. Hoop Scene. The originator.
Hey, they don't know.
Big facts.
This was Mr. Hoop Scene.
Hey, we was at Marietta for Lemon Street, and Joe was like, "Bryce, come here real quick. Who was the original Mr. Hoop Scene?" Hey, I don't remember who we were talking to, but I was like,
Juke.
"Oh, Juke. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hey, man. Everybody got to pay their respects, man. Like we got, man. I don't know that you can come on this platform if you're not at that legendary status. At least that's what Locke tells me. Locke tells me not to let nobody on here that ain't at that status.
Look, only because you're in Albany right now, you can't really say much.
Look. No, man, no. Seriously, I'm playing, but seriously, it's great to have you on, man. Like for real, it's important for the people that listen to this show that they lock in with somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. Especially during these type of times where I feel like our shows can get so educational from a standpoint because of what's going on. Like people need to really understand how to move around. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And it's not just, what happens on the court. Like they need to know how to move around because recruiting is different. So we appreciate you, man. We glad to have you on, man. So we'll jump in.
I appreciate the time to be able to get on, man. Just watch you guys from afar, even though I was gone for a little bit, and which is why maybe some people may have forgotten me, but I was still paying attention because I was coming back to my second home. I was coming back to Georgia at some point, one way or the other. So, I admire what you guys are honestly doing. You know what I mean? It's good to see Georgia have quality individuals providing information and giving the exposure not to the normal 10 kids, but exposure to all kids at varying levels. So, salute to y'all for the work you guys have done.
Appreciate that, Fonzo. That comes a lot coming from an OG. Like,
yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And I mean,
he was a rock star, man.
I noticed that too, man. Honestly, like I see a lot of kids that, especially like where we play, they get tweets that I think if normally they probably wouldn't get tweets, and they end up playing college because of their exposure that they get. And some of them are smaller guys, guys that would never be seen sometimes, and they end up getting a chance. So,
well, I can say this much, and I can speak for myself on this. The reason I choose to do what I do, and we'll get into my background a little bit, but it's someone didn't give me a shot. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I don't mind sitting in the gym, even though I did play collegiately, but it was when I played, people were like, dude, why you not at this level or that level? And I played D3. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but it was just lack of exposure, lack of some high school, my particular high school coach we're talking about in the 90s, who all he wanted to do is get to the golf course. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that. just trying to be like, give kids a chance to see, because let's be realistic, guys. I mean, every single one of us has watched high major kids. Do they really need extra? You know what I mean? Do they really need? It's like someone going to a supermodel and being like, "Yo, you're beautiful. Look, she knows that. She's won the crown." You know what I mean? So it's finding somebody who you're able to bring to the forefront, and their work, whatever they've been doing or whatever improvement you see, you're able to get the coverage. So, I mean, that's why I do what I do as far as from that point.
I'm sorry. Today was fast day for me.
Dre, had I known that earlier, I would have kept talking to make sure you swallowed. Pause, bro.
Hey, he was chewing away.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you something.
He was chewing away.
Yeah, he
So
was.
Locke hit the group chat yesterday and was like, "Yo, it's fast day. I'm on, baby. I'm on." Normally, Locke don't even participate, but he
Locke-
did. He was on it.
And all the things going on.
Fam, I was sitting there with a big plate of sausage, some eggs,
Oh,
a
he was in it.
biscuit. Like, I felt so
Oh, you
horrible.
doing it.
But I was like, I am not putting my food up, bro. Like,
Hey, listen, please don't.
So-
I'm good. You can eat.
Hey, but you know what, Dre? I think it's working though.
I feel pretty good. I fast. So the thing we supposed to fast until what is it, Bryce? 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Yeah, and it was actually only supposed to go through January, but shit, we just
I'm
kept-
We
joining
just
y'all.
kept going.
I'm gonna join y'all.
We just
You gonna
kept
join?
going. It's dope,
Yeah,
man.
I'm gonna join y'all.
It's Wednesdays.
Get in with
Listen.
Wednesdays.
Can't catch me today because I already ate. But
So since I miss Wednesday, I fast today, and this is my first meal for today. So I'm smashing. My bad.
But you know what I think is important too, Dre? I thought about this too, because like after that 6 o'clock, you be starving. I think it's also important what you eat after 6 o'clock, because you don't want to mess it up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure this Papa John's pizza is not the move.
I thought you was going to say Popeyes.
You could drink water, you could drink tea, coffee.
Yeah, I have coffee.
I usually sometimes do water or tea, or I might do a smoothie. That's it.
I want to start you off with a media question and not necessarily a basketball question. So something happened this weekend in our community, and I would love to have your take on it.
where you going?
I'm gonna show this play real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. Cue this bad boy up, and I'll share it with everybody. Wine? Can you? I don't know if you can have wine while you're fasting.
As long as it ain't food.
Hey, listen, leave it to our audience to ask that question, bro. Like,
Yeah, but you probably wouldn't want to drink wine if you ain't had no food in your stomach, though.
I mean, maybe you would. Maybe you want that. Maybe you want to be wine wasted at 2 o'clock. But all right, here we go. I'm gonna show y'all something.
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Get everybody's thoughts on this.
They bounce it around, popped out, and now drive up. Oh, it Paul on one, then dunked all on him. Oh my goodness! Whoa! Paul and one, then boom!
Hey, listen. So
They bounced it around, popped out, and now
shout out to
oh, it Paul
Vontae, man.
dunked all on him. Oh my goodness!
he did put that on his neck. Shout out to SUV TV for the coverage. Sean
Jay Hillsman.
on the
Jay
radar.
Hillsman.
Sean for the platform. Jay Hillsman on the call.
Hey, man. I wish Jay Hillsman could call out one of my adult league games.
Hillsman is the voice of Georgia basketball.
I wish Hilton would get to some college games too. I mean, maybe he does. I don't know, but I'm sure he does college games. But like some huge games.
I'm always disappointed when I don't hear like the level of excitement on a big play that Hillsman gives me. Like, I want to boo my TV screen. When I don't hear that, like I feel like he's supposed to go off when there's a big play.
Absolutely.
But the question I want to ask is, this play ended up making SportsCenter, and all the tagging from this video was removed. So SUV TV's watermark, the team names that were playing, no watermark for Sean, and it gets sent to Overtime. Overtime airs it, and then it gets sent to SportsCenter. I took issue.
Listen, let me start. I'm
I'll
just
turn
going
the
to
phone
keep
over
it
to
to you real. First of all, Overtime is wrong for doing it. Whoever stripped it, first of all, they got a bunch of kids, a bunch of youngins who ain't never played PE basketball, let alone AAU basketball. So they're good with technology. They stripped it. They were wrong for it. That's journalism 101. Okay. I mean, for many of those who haven't taken it, all they're doing is being videographers, and they're good at stripping the information. You know what I mean? They got a cell phone, and a power pack. Had they filmed it from their angle and did it, I really wouldn't even have an issue with it. But the fact that they stripped it off of SUV TV and the excellent call by Jay Hillsman and the quality of work shown by SUV TV provided by the platform of On the Radar Hoops by Sean Williams, I mean, that's where I have my issue. And then ESPN does what ESPN does, which if they gave anybody credit, because I think it was on a Snapchat or something, one of their top 10s on Snapchat, they ended up pulling it from there. And of course, they're just going to pull it because they've seen it on social media. And that's because normally when they've pulled it from actually Overtime, they mention Overtime. So because Overtime was disgraceful, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna call it what it is they decided to pull it because imagine any four of us or anybody listening and watching, they would be upset if we took some content of theirs off. I mean, I'm a big proponent of, having been in journalism for more than 20 years, that that's legit plagiarism. That's legit just stealing, copying. Of course, it becomes the wild, wild west when it's on the internet. People feel like they don't got to credit nobody. And if you retweet and don't retweet it as your own, that's no big deal because you're at least acknowledging that person. But if you happen to strip it, put it on your platform, which is what Overtime did, and then gave the information out and they just put it out there. I mean, I just don't understand how we shouldn't be upset about that, is what I'm saying.
But what can be done about that?
Unfortunately,
nothing, right?
Not much, but there's a way, and I'm sure Marcus, who runs SUV TV, you could watermark it almost as if in the middle and clear things out. Make your logo visible yet clear enough that you could still see the entire play. You know what I mean? But you also don't want to do that because then you're taking away from the actual quality of footage and everything. So it's almost like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yep.
Why is SportsCenter okay with tagging Overtime? And this might be a dumb question, but why are they okay with tagging Overtime?
Because they're the more important brand. You know what I mean? Like, now, I've seen it, you've seen it, we all seen it, where and a parent or someone hits a game-winning shot, you see the cell phone or the video shaking all over the place and they tag them. I've done it, and sometimes it happens to make it, but they're just gonna be like, oh, so-and-so knocks down the game winner in some gym in Podunk, USA, because they'll acknowledge that. But with Overtime, it's almost as if they're like, oh, they're a big enough company. And I know someone just said it here below. It's like, probably a litany of lawyers waiting in case, somebody doesn't do anything the right way to acknowledge the fact that overtime did this and overtime did that, you know. And we as the curators of content, individuals who are in this space across the country, we need to provide some information and do it the right way. When I say do it the right way, like, again, maybe I'm old school when it comes to this. I mean, I had to sit through journalism class, so I get it when my professor used to get on me if I took something. But you know, this nowadays it seems like it's okay to rip and strip. You know, it's because what's funny to me, and every single one of us here have coached before and coach still. What's funny to me is people take plays from college coaches and recognize them in the huddle, like, hey, we got this from, you name the school here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we can't do it when it comes to media. It's blasphemy to me.
So let me ask you this: if somebody posts a video of a kid that's on my team, I screen recorded video or whatever, I save the video, I repost it, I'm clearly not gonna go viral. Am I still wrong?
Now, screen and repeat that, like, you know, in terms of you took it from.
Let's say I get it off Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and I just, you know, I save it to my phone, and then I repost it. Am I wrong for that?
Technically, yes.
But if you
Technically,
screen
yes.
record it though, B,
But
their watermarks and stuff are still on the video.
right, you're not stripping it of its stuff, because it's not. Let's just take the Nike commercial. It is a copycat world, unfortunately. But let's just take it like if it's a Nike commercial and you decided, you know, the commercial where they're all dribbling and doing the you know, ball handling stuff and everything that they did back in the day.
Hey, that's the best commercial ever.
People be upset.
I just figured since I had it, I put
Oh
it
no,
up.
I ain't listen. I appreciate you dropping that in there just in time.
No, but what you were saying about the commercial?
No, like if you were to strip the beginning and end of it from its logo,
They'd have been mad.
they'd be upset. You'd have lawyers, you know, by the time you open up your door, they're like, yo, what you doing? And
Right.
made it your commercial, because again, it is a cold world, and with this wide open space of the internet, you know, but at the same time, you have to you got to give people credit for their work, you know, and that's where SUV has done, because I remember the days, and some of you probably remember as well. I remember when nobody was trying to give my man Marcus any love, you know.
Mhm.
So now because he's providing the quality work, yeah, now they want to, you know, they want to strip him of his work and quality. And is it right? No, it's not. But you know, at the same time, you know, they need to acknowledge that, because again, ESPN isn't going to allow you to do it.
So how do we compete with the big guys, with the big corporations? You can't.
All we can do is just keep doing what we do. Honestly, like, I hate to sit here and be like, oh, we can compete this way. Listen, the 4-letter network is going to do what they do. The
Right.
problem is that none of those 4-letter network companies or even Overtime themselves, half of them don't even know what they're talking about when it comes to the grassroots.
Nah,
Okay. They don't know what they're discussing. They don't know. They don't have anyone. Forget about us, whatever. They just don't have anyone with enough knowledge to be like, yo, this is what's going down in Atlanta, or this is who this is in Atlanta. Because at the end of the day, even in the video, the least they could have done is prop the kid's name up, Paul's
Right.
name up. You know what I'm saying? And acknowledge him, if nothing else.
the kid at the end of the day still made the play. You got to give the kid some credit.
Yeah.
Correct.
Gotta give the
Correct.
kids some love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you really, you know what I mean? Because ESPN, when they do their top 10 on TV, they acknowledge the kid, what school he went to, first
Yeah.
and last name, and next thing you know, he's excited. They
Mhm.
put this on there again based on how I saw the leak. I was like, all right, this is either on Snapchat or on Instagram stories that they made their top 10. Because I know on Snapchat they do a top 10 throughout the day, top 10 at 12 or something like that. So
Yeah, I was disappointed because, and I feel like this conversation needed to be had because we have to kind of educate people on that piece, because at the end of the day, Marcus and Sean, we all rely on those platforms.
Absolutely.
Like, it's a totally different look that Hillsman is coming to call your AAU game.
Mhm.
Like, that's a totally different look. And the Baller TVs of the world or whoever, regardless of how much money they have as far as corporate backing and funding and all the other kind of stuff, we have a small, local, black-owned business that's providing a better service.
I just want to correct you on one part. It's not local anymore.
Yeah, it's national.
Definitely not.
True. I'm with
You're
it.
just shooting in Georgia, baby.
when I first walked in McEachern, because usually court 1 is that main court.
Absolutely.
I'm like, hold up, what's going on here? It's 3?
Mm-hmm.
Confused. Oh. So when we used to call it, because we're going to have to change it now. We used to call it the ESPN.
ESPN court.
We're going to have to call it the SUV court now.
The SUV
Yep.
TV court.
SUV
Yeah.
court, yeah.
If you had a game, if you had multiple games on the SUV court, that's big time. That's
Well,
amazing.
The thing that makes it not only big time is now whomever plays on that court, whichever team happens to show up,
Mhm.
two things are taking place. One, obviously you have Hillsman and Marcus and crew taking in the game, providing the stats online for any coaches, any parents, any family members able to watch across the country. Two, 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, you're going to have someone like myself pull up just because you're like, all right, let me see who's on here if I haven't seen them teams already.
Yeah.
All right. So now you're adding not just SUV, but you're adding someone else who's going to evaluate and providing, again, multiple opportunities for a kid's name to be called out, to be written about, or a kid's performance to be described. And those are the things that when you look at it, you sit there and go, all right, this is where I need to be.
And when you say that, one thing people don't have to remember, a lot of AAU directors, coaches, everybody can't play on the SUV TV court.
No.
Everybody can't play.
Either.
I think a lot of people get mad at, look at their schedules like, hey, man, why I'm not playing on this court? I'm going to be honest, you got to have a resume and you got to have players.
Absolutely.
You got to have at least, I would think you got to at least have, a number of Division II guys and at least one Division I guy. You know what I'm saying?
You got to have college players.
Hey, shit, I didn't start off on court 1. We was in the back. And
I look at it as if you got recruitable players,
you
deserve to be on the stage to do that. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to compete. I mean, do games that are on the main courts a lot of times get out of hand? And, you're talking about 30-point blowouts. Those are few and far in between when you put the right matchups together. And Sean does a great job at doing
that. Transfer portal.
Portal's going up. Portal is going up.
B, I know y'all phone ringing heavy, bro.
Everybody's trying to get to the portal.
I've had a few calls, but you know what, man? Sometimes you got to just
a lot of people getting tight right now. Bruce got old enemies trying to hit him up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you didn't even like me 2 years ago. Now you want to play?
Hey, man. Hey, a kid showed up and played with us in a Georgia Cane shirt.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
We can. Hey, if you want to make a swap, I got one for you. Hey, I'm trying to tell you, I did make a few calls, and I will tell your mama that, hey, you better get it together by next weekend, my guy.
Hey, no take backs. No take backs, Bryce. We solid. But yeah, y'all buzzing right now, man. The Canes buzzing.
No, you buzzing. Hey, man, shout out to Dorian, man. I appreciate that, Mondre.
Great kid, man.
That kid, what I like about Dorian, and again, this weekend was first time a chance for me to see him, and I apologize, but he's just very calm. You know, he has this calming effect. No matter how fast the game is going, he's got this calming effect. Like, yo, bro, I'm just out here playing basketball. Y'all can do what y'all do, you know. And he takes control of the game, and I think a lot of times people are going to look at his size, you know, which I understand, but you know, at the same time, the things that you can't measure are the things that you can't teach. You can't teach IQ. You can't teach court vision. You can't teach, you know, being tough. Those are the three qualities. When I look at him, I'm like, yo, this kid is not bad. And then when you then go start searching his social platform, and you watch that he's got like a 3+3, excuse me, let me not disrespect it, higher than a 3.6 GPA, you know, and that means he understands the game, that you can design some stuff, and you guys did that a few times, Dre, where you guys called some sets, called some different plays right on the fly, and he adjusted to it as if he's been doing it forever. So, you know, that's kudos to a kid that can.
Dre, how many plays you had?
We didn't have to get by.
No, you know Dre ran plays. He's watching film at 1:30 in the morning. Like that was the funniest tweet to me.
I never seen the AAU coach 4 or 5 games in one day and then watch film at 2 a.m.
I was gonna comment on that tweet. Mondre, I was gonna say I can watch the close, but I'm not watching no film. 1:30 game night. I'm out in the street.
I had to do that
on a Saturday
night. Yeah.
Hey, me and Locke have watched jerseys at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Like,
as long as they drive by tip off, baby.
So what do y'all do?
Hey, this guy will drop the jerseys off and then try to swerve around the corner and find a move.
We got to do something while we watching might as well kind of vibe.
bro will try to go to the club while the jerseys are in the laundromat. I'm like, bro, if these jerseys come up missing, some homeless dude got this Canes jersey on. You know,
hey, listen, I respect the Lock.
Hey, you see how Bryce think negative?
Hey, I'm
like this. Ain't nobody coming in there. I get it.
It's 4 a.m, 5
I get it.
Lock make plays, bro. Lock making plays. But no, I had to do something while the jerseys was washing, man. I had to make sure I didn't fall asleep and it wouldn't be dry. So you know,
what time was your next game? What time was your first game the next day?
Hey man, we're a small, humble AAU program, so we always got to play at 8 o'clock in the morning, man. Everybody at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You know my man, the mom boy. Y'all in this humble pie is at.
Hey, I was so mad. We beat that team by like 60. I was pissed. I play at 8 o'clock every game. We got to play at 8 o'clock in the morning, man.
That's dead. You go ahead.
I got 2 8 a.m. games this weekend, 2.
They don't care enough. You, my guy. Go ahead on. See y'all.
They don't love me.
Hey, by July, man, you might be making your own schedule. Just gotta keep putting that work in.
We gotta work, man. I honestly don't even know. You know, I was asking Zoe like what he felt about our team because I don't feel like I know yet. But we're having fun though.
Listen, nobody gonna know until at least the first live, quote unquote, live period, which is in April. I mean, when I say quote unquote, they're gonna be coaches in there. There's not gonna be some D1 guys in there.
Yeah. So Alfonso, man, what have changed? You've been in this game for a minute. What have changed throughout grassroots basketball over the years? From the time you was at the hoop scene to now you're at Baseline, you got your own company, Baseline Sideline. You went to Florida, you came back to Georgia. What have changed? Like, do you see some good that's a change, and have you seen some bad?
Well, I'm gonna speak on the positive first. The positive is people are being open to some degree, improving their kids, improving their players. You know, in terms of, you know, you guys are quote unquote independent companies, independent teams, you know, and you're putting guys out there. I mean, like Bryce mentioned, when he was coaching 4th and 5th graders, I remember seeing it, and then to see him do what he's doing now, you know, that's a testament to his grind on what he's doing. The negative, and it was a negative then, so it's not like there's way too many teams out here. I mean, there's just way too many teams, but parts of me get, yeah, I mean, we could talk politics all day, but I always look at it like, if you make your kid good enough, politics don't get in the way. You know what I mean? I mean, so, and you're right, politics in every aspect of where my kid should be here, where my kid should be there. And I'll take the example of Colin Sexton. You know, you act like when I saw Colin back in those hoop scene days, I tell people this all the time. It's not that I didn't think Colin couldn't be D1, because I definitely felt he could be D1. But when the amount of work, again, when I left, to see where he was when I left, he was basically just a scrawny kid hanging out with Kobe Simmons and them. You know, and then next thing you know, I leave. And I hear everybody like, yo, this Colin Sexton kid is from Atlanta. I'm like, yeah, the kid put in work, but he put in a lot of work to get to where he's at. You know, and you have so much work that he's put into it that because of the media, because of the overtimes, putting clips together, everybody thinks it happened overnight. And in reality, it did not happen overnight. You know, he didn't become EYBL's leading scorer when he played that one year on an overnight situation. You know, it wasn't like he just woke up and said, hey, you know what? This season I'm going to kill. It's my final season of travel ball. I'm going to go ahead and do what I got to do. Another negative, I think, is, as we spoke before off air, too many people talking about the same set of kids. And those kids, as I've told college coaches in the past, the average basketball fan will know if a top 50, top 100 kid is good. Okay. Even on a bad day, a top 10 kid, you really don't even have to have a real conversation of it, because sometimes it could just take what he does on the layup line for most coaches to be like, yo, you know, that's the kid I want. But we're talking about now, player 150, 300, those players, that's where people aren't going back. And I get it. It's because it doesn't sell. I get it. For people that go, it doesn't sell. And then you have this, it's like, oh, this kid is not one of my faves. Or when people go, oh, you don't write about us because we're a small independent program, or you write about them because you're friends with them. I'm like, man, if people knew, especially myself, the amount of people I do know and the amount of grief I give a lot of them, including people who I consider friends, grief on what they have and don't have. And I've even said, look, no, your kid isn't Division I. That didn't break our relationship. I was just being honest, you know, and there's an honesty factor that is lost, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to be known as this. It's like, no, I'm going to tell the truth, because at the end of the day, these coaches, not only do they want the truth, but their livelihood is based on recruiting an 18-year-old young man or even young lady. You know, their livelihood, and I like to joke around with some coaches. I'm like, yo, you know them red bottoms your wife wears? She might not be wearing those if you get fired. I mean, you might not be able to buy her those, you know, because you might get fired and she's going to have to go back to work, you know, and you might have to go do something. And I get that. So the last thing, I'd rather be wrong in telling a coach, hey, this might not fit to what you're looking for, and then the kid goes and kills somewhere, than lie, which is why we have 840 plus kids and counting in the transfer portal. Because people are just like, oh, yeah, you need to get this kid, and not putting the kid in the right situation.
I want to talk about that, man. When it comes to the transfer portal, and we're gonna get to New York basketball, they on your head in these comments, my boy.
I know they are, man.
They are. We're gonna get to New York basketball. I've seen a couple good questions in the comments. We're gonna get there, but with this transfer portal, how many of these kids do you feel like made a bad decision versus how many of it were coaches making a bad decision and then asking kids or telling kids that they have to leave because they made a bad decision evaluating a player?
Man, what was it last year? 443 were in the transfer portal or something to that, and we've since doubled that number. But part of it's a combination of the two. Let's just be realistic, because when a kid gets a Division I offer, you know, then they get one Division I offer and they may not get another, or they'll get 30 more, which I still never understood that. You know, it's like, yeah, you get all these offers, but you still sitting there like, oh, I don't know where I want to go. And if this was 30 years ago where you had to go look up through an encyclopedia on where these schools were at and what they did, I'd understand that you're still doing your research. When you have access to technology, you ain't got to do your research that hard. I mean, as soon as you hang up with that coach, or while you're talking to that coach, you can do your research. Exactly. So, and you can make a decision on if that's where you want to go or if that's where you don't want to be bothered with. So I think that you have a lot of kids and families too. Let's just be real, because everybody's like, oh, I want my kid. They all start with the conversations like, oh, I want a free education.
Yeah.
Then the conversation turns into, oh, we want to go D1. And then my response is always like, do you want to go D1 for you and your family? Or do you want to go D1 because you want your neighbor to know your kid went D1? You know, because right. And unfortunately, too many people are concerned about the neighbor. You know, because at the end of the day, and a reporter put it to me like real simple when I was playing, he said, because I actually joked around and I said, yo, where'd you go to school? He was like, Penn State. I was like, yo, that's dope. You went to a big old school. He goes, so what? He goes, the same ink and print on my paper is going to be printed on your degree. The only difference is mine says Penn State, yours says Mount St. Mary College. I was like, this valid point. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, it's an education, you know, and you have a lot of people chasing the dream. Some people aren't putting the work to be in the dream. And then they find themselves in a situation where they're looking around and then they realize that, okay, when that coach told you, yo, I'm not going to recruit anybody in your position, next thing you know, you're looking on social media, you're looking at visits, you're looking at Zoom conversations, whatever, and going, oh, they're getting someone in my position 1 year later. It's not like it's 2 or 3 years later, you know, 1 year later. You know, hold up. Find that. Dang it. Hold up. Someone tried to call me. Y'all still hear me?
No,
Yeah, so the rules are you gotta put the call on speakerphone now. That's the rules.
That's your rules.
Never that. Can't do it. Hold on.
Speaking of, I got a funny story about Locke. We'll tell that off the
Why do you keep making up stories about me?
My bad. But nah, so you know what I'm saying? You just got to find the right balance. You know, you don't have to sit there and I mean, I've watched kids right now. There's currently a kid in the country who has about 20 Division I offers. Still playing AAU right now. I'm like, yo, what don't you see of the offers that you have? You see what I'm saying? And honestly, and even if you're an unsigned senior right now and someone at any level gives you an offer and you start looking around, that's where you got to start really making some decisions. You know what I mean? Making some decisions on some facts of like, oh, wait a minute. Is this where I want to go? Do I want to go ahead and bet on myself like Patrick PJ did for you, Bryce, you know, where he went post grad, and then went JUCO, and now he's getting a litany of Division I schools. And it's not like he wasn't a Division I player before.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just, but I understood his options were few and far in between. And it has to take and I'm going to just speak on this. Yeah, PJ had a Division I offer to West Point, to Army. I always say this, unless you are ready to do that, you don't have to commit to that, because that's not a 4-year commitment to play there. That's the next 4 years after that. And you're on mute, Bryce. You're on mute, so I can't hear you.
He had one more, but I don't want to.
No, but I know that's why I didn't say the other one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it takes a special person to have to do the West Point thing. And I always tell people, if you've never been to West Point, trust me, my school was 9 miles away from them. It ain't nothing nice up there, ain't nothing but gray skies and problems.
So I do have to ask that question. Dave was right. That little point off from Harlech. Yeah, I saw the highlights, bro. Not only did he have 54, it was a nasty 54 too.
54 is 54. I don't care if you're playing in the gym class.
That kid is good. But Coach, you touched on one thing that I think is important. Because we're seeing this a lot with kids that are saying, "Hey, Coach," well, asking 2 questions. Number one, I just got this offer, or I have a couple of offers. I think I like one of them, or a couple of them. How long should I wait to sign? Okay. And the second question is, we're having a lot of kids that are saying, even if I sign, I still want to play. Yeah. Like, I want to hoop. So what would you say in regards to both of those questions from a kid?
First and foremost, I encourage research. I encourage research on the program, location, what major you want to study. I even encourage trying to take your visits. You know how, again, we're talking about pre-pandemic. I would tell kids, yo, take your visit during the week. And of course, people are like, what you mean? I'm like, yeah, take it during the week. If you take it during the week, first of all, you can't be marked absent from school because it's considered a visit to go get to your education. If you don't believe me, go tell your counselor to give you that excuse. Second, because we are viral, all right, you can log on to what we're talking about right now and just be able to see the school virtually on your own without any influence from any college coach, anything. Then you have that conversation with the coach like, hey, again, we're talking pandemic time. Can I come through? In the past, and I know they still do it pre-pandemic, is, you stayed overnight and you got to see the campus from that aspect. All right. But if we can't do that again because of COVID, now you're able to research it from the other way, and they'll be able to talk to you about what they have to offer, what they don't have to offer. Because at the end of the day, 90% of schools pretty much offer the same thing: an education, room and board, and a place to play. Some are just better than others, and you have more money and budgets. So especially if you're in a situation where you got 2 schools, or you may have 20 to 30 offers, you only get to go to 5 visits regardless. Now in virtual, I'm sure you can go to endless visits or endless conversations, but just do the research, because then I always go to kids and I always tell parents, a parent will be like, oh my God, I love this school right here because I love the coach, I love their campus, but it's not the right fit for the kid. And I always tell the parent, I'm like this, that's great that you love it, but he or she's the one that's got to stay there for 4 years, or at least for a year, and they're the ones who have to get up and the best recruiting advice I can give you is, if you can view that campus to the way that you go, hey, even when it's not my season, when it's not my season, I got to be willing to love this campus. Because all campuses are great when it's your season. If you're a basketball player, they love you. If you're a basketball player right now at any of the NCAA tournaments event or NITs or CBIs, they're loving you.
Yep.
You know, they're loving you because it's your season. But the moment it becomes the fall and it's football season, you better still love that campus because that's when the least amount of attention is on you. The other part of, yo, coach, I got all these offers, and even if I sign, I still want to play. I always turn around and go like, yo, how selfish are you? And when I say that,
Wow.
I go, you already got yours. You already got yours. But you're going to take away from somebody else because you just want to play? Why not go prepare yourself to get better for the next level?
Yeah.
Then you can have that conversation. Then you can build yourself to be able to compete for a spot in the following year. Because what is playing now to Mother's Day weekend going to do for you? Nothing. Because you're already ready. And then you'll be like, oh, I'll just wait till sometime. Why wait till that close that you have to go off to school? Then if you put 2 months of work prior to have to go into school early, come on, you put yourself at least in a competitive advantage with the other guys on campus.
Hey, man.
No, I'm all about the unofficials. All about the unofficials. Trust me, you know how many kids I've sent on unofficials and they'll be like, yo, they taking 10 visits. I'm like, nope. They've all gone there for academic reasons.
So explain that, what it takes to be on a unofficial visit to a school.
Here, I'll give you a great example. Your family goes on vacation, right? You guys all jump and you're going out to California. Yo, how many schools in California? Tons of them, right?
Right.
You like call the school in advance and tell the coach in advance, hey, we're just going to come over there. We're already going to be going to Ventura County and wine country. Can we swing by Stanford? Can we swing by University of San Francisco just to come see campus? Coach, you could take the unofficial visit and you could swing by the gym and see what's going on. You know what I mean? Like nobody can charge that to you. I mean, I did it with a kid when I said, yo, come on, we're going to go on a visit. He's like, yo, coach, but I want to save him. I was like, don't worry about it, bro. It's going to be an academic visit. And we went out to UCLA, USC, and I knew the kid wasn't going there. I just wanted him to see, like, yo, this is what that level looks like.
Yeah.
That's great.
This is, you know what I mean? And you guys can do it, let's say when, and again, we're talking about pre-pandemic, is when you guys play the, you know, as someone just popped up there, call the admissions office, be like, yo, I just want to swing by, see what's going on. But even kids here in Georgia or wherever you are locally, man, call the admissions office or even just go on campus. Again, we're talking pre-pandemic, and just be like, yo, let me walk around, see what the campus feels like with students who aren't just athletes that you're dealing with. You're just walking around because, again, that's important. Because like I go back to the conversation of you got to like the campus when it's not your time in your season. And, you know, get the feel for the size, get the feel for the student body ratio and everything else.
Yeah. So, Fonzo, we don't see it now, but we used to see it a lot where kids were visiting schools that the schools weren't even recruiting them. Like you say, they will pop up. Like I've talked to coaches where they didn't even know the kid was coming. The kid would just show up in their office. And then they'll call me like, hey, man, I got this kid from Georgia. Who is this kid?
Mm-hmm. and that is probably in many respects the easiest way to not get recruited by that school. You know, because you just popping up on them and they're like, yo, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who you are. You know, I've never seen you, or just because we sent you a questionnaire, yeah, fill out the questionnaire, but that doesn't mean you show up.
Touch on that. There's a lot of people that feel like that because they received that they're being recruited by that school.
No. There's an intern or someone who's an administrative staff member, and they'll sit there and go, hey, I got these kids. could you do me a favor? And I'm just trying to put the power charger to my computer, but could you send these kids this information and let them know that we're having camp, that we're interested in them? And I always go to kids, did that information come to you handwritten, or was it on a letter sheet with your name typed in or filled in? Like, oh yeah, my name's in there. I was like, but was the note handwritten? Because if it ain't handwritten, it's just someone being like, yo, fill out the top of this and send it off.
Hey,
And
the admissions office.
yeah, exactly.
Straight from the admissions office.
I mean, I just find that is because I look at that lock and it's like saying like, yo, slide through one day. When you tell somebody you'll slide through, but they don't let you know in advance that they're coming. It's like, no, like, yo, get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you're going to tell that person, I ain't trying to deal with you no more. It's pretty much what happens with recruits, or will happen with a recruit.
So y'all hear that? Just don't be popping up on campuses thinking.
Just pop up. Look, if you just pop up, don't, you know what I mean? Again, unless you've physically made some sort of contact with that coach, man, don't.
What about
them dudes just too busy trying to figure out the next recruit or the next situation? Because many of these coaches, like especially once the season's over, they're already thinking about the next one.
Yeah,
you're right. Don't pop up unless you're 7 feet.
Oh, 7 feet. They'll make room for you.
You 7 feet, just go to the coach's office and knock on the door. Hey,
Right.
coach.
hey, but
I'm Ricky Boudreaux.
hey,
Where's my locker?
It's trash though.
Huh?
I've seen quite a few 7-footers that are trash.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what? There aren't many 7-footers who are going to have to pay for school.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them will find a home.
Yeah, they probably will somewhere.
Good.
Hey, I want to. We was talking about it's so many A and U teams. One of the reasons I feel like it's so many teams where a kid's son is not good, and they start a team. And me and Mondre had this discussion all the time. As soon as that kid graduates, that team goes away.
Absolutely. I say it all the time. I'm like, yo, they're not here for the long haul.
No,
it's every parent who may have an ounce of basketball knowledge, okay, and whether they've played in college or played in high school or have watched enough of it on TV, they're gonna be like, yo, my kid ain't getting enough time. They don't allow him to develop. Next, they pull him off to find 5 of his friends who can't play dead, and to be like, yo, I want my kid to stand out. And a lot of times I look at it like this: if you're going to play daddy ball, if your kid's the best kid based on he worked at it, by all means, do you. But if your kid's the best kid because you want him to get that shine, and everybody else around him is not to par of his level, because you should if you're gonna be a father, and if you are a father, which God bless all those who are, and you coach your son, because you're taking time to coach your kid. Make sure the other players around him are a little to a lot better than your own child. Because then it's not the daddy ball syndrome. It's, hey, he's put a great team around him. Now, when your kid elevates his game to match it, nobody can argue with you.
Also, you got to take the daddy goggles off.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I've seen where people come up to me, Fonzo, I know they come, why you ain't tweet on my kid? Or why you didn't do this? Or my kid had 25, but I'm like, okay, he took 30 shots. He had 4 or 5 turnovers. Like, we just can't tweet on because he had these 25 points. Look,
right.
He had 25, but lost by 25.
Right. And a lot of times I've even done this, and even when I worked as a journalist, she was like, yo, why you ain't write about my kid? Or you ain't come see me? I was like, matter of fact, you're right. I'm going to come post up. And then don't let that kid have a bad game, because then I'm gonna go walk right past that same parent and like, you want me to tweet about that? I just want to make sure. Because you know what I'm saying? Because like we gonna tweet the good and the bad. If you're gonna come call me out, can I call him out or her out?
They don't want that.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to genuinely tweet about a kid based on their performance. I want to genuinely, which I got about 3 articles that will drop within the next 48 hours from the last 5 events that I've been to. But just understand that, yo, you're not gonna call me out because I don't go to your job to tell you how to do your job. You know, so the moment
You had to do your job in the basketball field.
hey, listen, so like if I'm wrong, I will quickly admit that I'm wrong. I have no shame in that. You know what I mean? But if I go see your kid and they don't perform to what your daddy goggles, your parent goggles, your mama goggles says about a kid, then don't be mad if I put something out there and it's not favoring to what you want. Even though I've never really done it because it's not the kid's fault.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I would never do that. Not in terms of grassroots.
There's a lot of misunderstanding, though, I think, from parents about, and kids, but I think it comes from the parent about what it takes to be a recruitable or college level basketball player. Like, can you kind of help fill in some of the blanks? Because a lot of people do think that you have to, you know, be scoring a certain amount of points or, you know, all this other kind of stuff to get recruited or to get an offer.
I think you guys mentioned it. Like I said, I've watched you guys enough, even when during the pandemic and everything was locked down. You guys also mentioned it when I think Locke said when he went to go see Voorhees play, take your kids to those games.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, I get it. I get it.
Yes.
Watching Division I basketball is fun.
It is.
All right. It is fun. But we live in a metro that has every level. Okay.
Yes.
Go again. This is pre-pandemic. Go watch those games. Go watch those games and watch a kid run down the court and you go, all right, he's as fast, or damn, I got to get faster. I got to get stronger. I didn't realize they were that strong in this league. I didn't realize that they were this. I didn't realize that they were that. You know, go see that. But, you know, because people are fans, most people are fans, they go to gravitate to their fandom. They go like, oh, let me go see Georgia versus Kentucky. Let me go see Duke when they come into town to play Georgia Tech. All right. That's your fandom kicking in. You know, because the one thing I've always noticed, high major kids like that don't really be trying to chase down to go see games at those arenas unless they're being brought in for a visit.
Yeah.
Think about it. But the less than 5-star kid or lower, they're running over there and they rocking the shirt. And again, we all got dreams. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Take kids to Clark Atlanta, boy.
I have more fun there than I go to the Georgia Tech games.
Listen,
Facts.
I've had more fun at CIAA events than I have at ACC events.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Like we all went, me, you, Bryce, we went to go see Life University play.
Yeah, fun.
And if you take off the top 5 to 10 kids maybe in each class, take those guys out of the conversation, it ain't many high school guys that could have made Life's roster.
No, sir.
Last year. Like, you wasn't making the team. Like, they point guard look like Zion Williams, dog. You're not making the team. Most of these kids and you know, high school kids.
But it's just beautiful, like I said. It's like being able to just see where you stack up. Because eventually the basketball is going to end and some of them are going to have to go get jobs. None of them can say, yo, let me go in and go be the CEO of the company just because I'm good at math. You know, you got to put in work if you eventually want to get the CEO position. You know, you can't walk in most cases to be the manager immediately. So it's understanding what needs to be done, because that's what college is. It's, to play at the collegiate level is like, okay, what do I got to do to get to where I need to be? And I don't think enough people are willing to do that.
I think a lot of people rather use clout to get to the top.
Well, that's unfortunately what it's turned out. You mentioned what's the good and the bad of this thing, and this bad is that. The bad is the clout aspect, because even 6 years ago, you didn't know how many offers a kid had half the time.
Right.
No,
You really didn't. There wasn't every edit was like, yo, I got an offer, and I got an offer, I got an offer. You know what I mean? It's like you didn't have those edits all the time.
You know what bothers me though, from an adult standpoint, is adults will change or coaches, whatever, they'll change their name of their program just to get a kid. That shit bothers me.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what you mean, guys?
Huh?
What you mean?
What program changed their name?
I ain't gonna say nobody's name because they probably try to put
But what you mean by change their name? How you change the
Hold
name?
on, I'll be right back. Hold on.
people like merge with different. I just don't like that shit. Like you merging only so you can get more kids.
Kid.
Oh, got you.
To me, you're not loyal to, to who you are, to what the purpose is. You only change your name just so you know what I'm saying? Like,
You can recruit.
I personally don't like that shit. Like, if you identify yourself as something, unless something happens where you have to change your name for whatever reason, which we've known in the past, programs change. But every other summer, it's somebody merging, but you only merging so you can try to get more kids. But to me, it's like, I just don't like that, and I feel like that's a clout thing. Instead of you putting the work in, like, shit, I'm Georgia man up. I'm gonna be Georgia man up until I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get him if I can. They don't move like that.
Well, you know what? Speaking on that, Bryce, I wanted to ask Fonzo this. Back then, with a ton of independent teams, they were all chasing shoe contracts. I don't feel like a lot of independent teams are doing that anymore.
No, it's like, I mean, you don't need to do that anymore. That's just the thing. You don't, as you guys have said it, and I'll say it here again. Sneaker teams are great and fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's fun. To be able to understand that, they do a great job promoting their events. Nike does a great job marketing their stuff. Adidas trying, and Under Armour is picking up the rear. All right.
It's a nice way to put it.
but back then, that almost seemed like, that's where you needed to go and needed to be.
Yeah.
Fast forward 6-7 years, it's not the case, because you can't have that many teams on the circuit sponsored by a sneaker program. But more importantly, you have independent platforms like Sean who have grown every year to make what events they put together viable events that are quality, not only for the teams playing, but more importantly for the college coaches when they come in and be able to say, okay, you know what, this is an event that's worth coming to. Like, yeah, I know I have to send an assistant to one of these other 3 shoe company events, and then be able to send somebody over to Sean's event, because I'm going to find me a kid that I may not have seen, or he was previously with a sneaker team and ends up with an independent squad, and there you go.
Don't you also think that the guys who are independent coaches have come to realize that they probably not going to get opportunity to get on the shoe circuit because the people who have those connections might not allow them to get in?
True.
I think that plays a role, but then sometimes, like you say, I feel like it's not as bad as it was when I first got in and I was getting to know everybody. They think because they beat a shoe team, they deserve a shoe contract.
Right.
I seen messages where they message me and Sean in group chats and say, hey, we went 4-0 this weekend, and I beat an Under Armour team, and I beat a Nike team. And it's like, man, put me with the Adidas rep, put me with Kerry when Kerry's with Under Armour and Winfrey. Like, put me with these guys, and it's like they don't understand. It's not about the team. It's about players. It's about the players you can get. I don't care. A Nike team can go. Georgia Stars can go 0-4. They're not losing that contract at all. And I think a lot of guys at first didn't understand that because they felt like, okay, well, I beat them. He got 5-6 Division Ones. Okay, they have the talent. You might have the better team, but Nike wants to see the talent. They want to see what's coming up next.
But you know what's funny about that? I was, like, as you mentioned, I was in Florida. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. There was one team that they was loaded in their 17s and 16s, and they decided to step away, and they were hoping to get onto the EYBL circuit. And I just was like, yo, it's not happening. Like, because they want that consistent flow of kids and talent to get there. And I've seen teams go from being either Under Armour, Adidas, and end up at EYBL. Why? Because of talent. You know,
Team
huh?
I said Team Thad.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They're Nike.
Of course. You know, and they just, again, progressively got better because when they were Team Thad, they had the talent, but nobody was really checking for their kids because also at the time, Penny was coaching EYBL, so he was getting all the quote unquote high name kids. You know, but now once he went into coaching, Team Thad continued to. Not only did they continue with the kids that they had, now they're getting kids that would have played on the EYBL. And they're like, you know, Nike's like, why have them over there when we could bring them over here and possibly provide them a different platform?
For sure. Good question here. What are we expecting to see from the upcoming tournament this weekend? I think there are multiple. You got one in the tip-off going in Swanee, and then the tip-off at Lake Point.
But
I heard of some at Lake Point.
What I anticipate seeing is potentially one or two kids in new uniforms. Hey, listen, they in practice right now, wherever they at. And because it's not like I'm sitting here trying to clown somebody, but it's the facts. You know, we've had these things happen.
I seen it last weekend.
Absolutely. But what I would be looking for, what I would hope, is that whoever played this weekend to tighten up some of the things that they might have. I'm not looking for perfection because this is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, so you need to tighten up some things. And yeah, it may require for you to dip into the AAU transfer portal and figure out who's happy and who's not happy, because some fits may not always be the same. But then those who didn't play, because I know we'll get those, there are several who didn't play this weekend at all. They're coming into it fresh and clean. They haven't done anything. So hopefully the time that they've had away, they've been able to put some things in to make it look good, because if I'm not mistaken, at least one of them will be streaming it live and making it available to college coaches. And you don't want it to be where, no, you didn't play at Sean's event, for example, this past weekend, and then you still looking like hot garbage when you come out there, you know, and you're going to lose. Because like even one team told me today, they went 2-2, and it's because their kids showed up literally 2 minutes before tip-off and lost the team they should have never lost to. You know, and that's going to happen. So it's just tightening up those type of things that you hope teams are working towards it. Because even though they may say, oh, some people have the theory like, oh, there's no college coaches there, but there's individuals like myself and any other media prospects, any media reporters, and or what have you in the building who will then put out reports, because kids need to understand you never know who's in the gym.
Who's in the gym? Yeah. You
never know who's in the gym, because again, prior to you guys putting me on here, half the kids who are in high school right now have no idea who I am. And at times I'm okay with it. I just post up and chill.
You don't have a picture on your Twitter handle either.
Right. So, you know, I just post up and chill. You know, and then it isn't until I'm wearing some sort of paraphernalia that says it, that's when people ask me like, "Oh, you that dude?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm that dude." You know, so because again, you just never know, and a lot of times, you know, kids just because they seen other people, they're like, "Oh yeah, you know." It's
Hey man, listen, I can't even put all the comments on the
listen,
screen.
I'm okay with it.
For over an hour, they have been at you about this, man.
I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
There.
Nah, it's just like I said, it's just people, you know, kids need to realize who's in the gym, you know, and when I say realize who's in the gym, every chance you get to play, you never know who's in the gym.
Who's in there?
All right. You just never know. And that's what some kids today just feel like, oh no. And I love it when kids are like, man, I didn't know they were there. Hopefully they'll come to the next one. There might not be another chance.
It might not be another next one, yeah.
There might not be another chance because look, them coaches got to move on. Them scouts got to move on. Them analysis got to move on. Somebody's got to move on. If you happen to play on SUV's court at a Sean Williams event, there is no possible next time. All right, there is no possible next time. So,
hey, but you know what's funny when I hear people say, "Well, were they college coaches there?" I'm like, it's always college coaches there, regarding of if it's a live period or not. Because JUCO coaches can come, D2 coaches can come, NAIA prep schools. A lot of times when they're coming, they're just sitting with the fans and the parents.
Yep.
well, not only that, the parents as well as kids need to understand coaches who are trying to get back into coaching are at the event. And they really aren't going to wear no paraphernalia because they're not tied to a school.
Ooh, yep.
They're trying to get to their next situation. So you might have a coach who just got fired 2 days ago, just stroll up in the gym. He just wants to be seen and wants to be in the place and just wants to be able to watch basketball because you know what? They're preparing for their next opportunity and they're collecting data. They're watching kids play. They're trying to understand that. Then they feel parents and players alike fail to realize a coach could get fired. And next, you know, you'd be like, oh, then I'm not going to see them for a while. No, they could be in the gym that very next week.
Mm-hmm.
And they really don't have any affiliation. They come and pay their $20 in some cases and be like, yo, I'm just going to post up on the side and just pay attention and watch how your mom and dad react to you playing and watch how you react to getting balked on by your coach or how you react just being around your teammates. So you just never know. Unfortunately, however you want to look at it, when you're playing travel ball, you are on an interview every possession.
Yes.
Every possession, because someone is watching, whether you want to think so or not.
And so are your parents.
Absolutely. They're watching everybody.
That is one thing. I don't know how I feel about that, but I understand that it happens.
Which part?
That coaches are evaluating your parents too. And I've seen it where coaches won't offer a kid because they don't want to deal with mom or they don't want to deal with dad. And it's like, yeah, I can find another him. I won't have to deal with that.
He's got to be really good.
Yeah.
To overcome that, you got to be really, really good.
And the thing about it with that, it's like both you and your parents can't be crazy. Only one of y'all got to be crazy. Only one of y'all got to be losing your mind. Or both of your parents are at the game, don't let both of your parents be off the deep end. All right, because that's and here's why. Dre, I get what you're saying, but here's how I look at it. They're playing at this level where, you know, we could call it amateurism, pure, whatever you want to call it. They're playing AAU ball. All right. But at the same time, you know them, meaning you as Dre, the coach, know the parents and know the kid. And you'll be like, hey, they're not that bad of people, blah, blah, blah. But when you watch them, they out there dog cussing not only the kid, the other team, the other parent, and then the coach is like, wait a minute. If I go recruit this kid and bring him to my program, then I got to deal with if he's not playing according to what their parent goggles are expecting. I got to deal with that, and then and then some programs are willing to deal with it, some aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of how much are you willing to win with a kid, and take that kind of sacrifice.
That's for sure. It's one of the, I was explaining to a parent that it's a lot about what happens with recruiting that I don't necessarily like, but I understand this is how it works.
It's like being in a relationship, though. You don't want to get married into a crazy family.
I'm telling you.
That's what it is, man. It's a relationship.
Hey, man, I don't want no smoke.
Right.
I don't want no smoke. But no, it definitely is, man. It's they're thinking about, well, how are you going to act when I bring you in my gym?
Mm-hmm.
We get you these nice seats and we sit you around these people who are at these games all the time. Like they are. I've heard it.
Right.
I hate for kids to miss out on opportunity because of that, because they can't control that.
Mm-hmm.
They're kids, but it doesn't make it any more real that happens.
Absolutely.
Coach, why out of all the film that we have on guys now, all the highlight tapes and the like you said, there's so many teams, there's so many games. Why is it that coaches want to know, hey, who else offered them?
Who's all proven?
Who all on them, coach? Who's talking to them? Who else want them before they decide to get involved?
Some coaches sometimes are not comfortable with their own judgment, which is why they ask. And B, some others are like, okay, who do I got to compete with? And is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Because, use an example that CY mentioned in the past regarding the kid that's at the Spurs, and I apologize that I don't know his name.
Devin Vessel.
Devin Vessel, who, when he went to see him, he goes, yo, who's recruiting him? And he said Presbyterian. He was like, shoot, I ain't worried. And he still went after him and got him. And I know college coaches who are like that. And then there's some other coaches who, again, they're like that and they don't trust it, or they're like, well, I'll just wait till they come on the bounce back. So they recruit them a little bit just so they know them. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to just back off and wait. But a lot of times then when they do, let's say a kid gets extremely hot and becomes the hot name, the hot topic, the hot everything. Next, it's like, yo, remember that kid? Like, I really want to. I'm like, yo, it's too late now.
Mm-hmm.
The marathon's already started. You just showing up to the starting line. You was here for registration. You got yourself a number. But then when the gun went off, you went back to the car to go look for something. He's already, you know what I'm saying? The race for that kid is down the road. And that's just what happens. And it's not just the Division I level, it's even the Division II level. NAIA, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, yo, just go in there. The most a kid can tell you and a family can tell you is like, no, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? And then it's the onus is back on the kid, not you as the coach or the program or whatever.
Bryce, I got a question for you, man. Are coaches honest with you and tell you that they don't like your kid? Like, no, I don't like his game.
No, but I can tell by their responses if they do or don't.
They'll say something.
They'll say like, oh man, he really don't go left like that. That means that they don't like him.
Look, I've had a college coach who, when I was coaching, basically tell me like, yo, we're not going to recruit the kid anymore. I was like, yo, I appreciate it. Even
so, I mean, I've had them that I think that have said like, oh yeah, man, we like that kid. He got a nice, a lot of potential, nice upside, and they still don't go after them. So I mean,
Mhm.
I know what it is. Like at this point, I kind of know. You know what I mean? I kind of know when somebody's gonna go after somebody when they're not. And usually they're not going after you until you hot.
Yep.
Till you blow up on Twitter.
Hot like fish grease.
Yeah. Hey, it only takes 3 to 5 tweets in one weekend.
In a normal weekend on the radar at McEachern, if you left the weekend Monday morning or something like that, and you had 2 or 3 offers, maybe 4, everybody gonna want you. Everybody. But if you don't, that's just how that's just how it is, man.
And
Unfortunately.
look, and if you don't, that doesn't mean you stop working. You just that should just be more motivation as opposed to discouragement to keep working, because this is a long summer.
I kind of know now, because I think I know a good amount of them. I know their response, and I know their history of recruiting in the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can kind of feel out and say, they're not feeling you, bro.
Hey, I'm pretty sure Bryce got a tech this weekend, man. Bryce, you get a tech?
Nah, but I cursed the kid out though.
I heard.
Oh man, this dude here.
Oh, please.
I'm
We gotta get Locke to tell the story. Go ahead, Locke.
No.
I can't tell that.
Don't do it.
That stays within the huddle.
Don't do it.
You know what bothers me about some kids? Like, that shit gets under my skin so bad, bro. That's why I exploded. I'm like, first of all, bro, I'm coaching 8 games. This is my whole weekend. And you can't break a sweat? You can't run hard? Oh, I'm about to lose my mind in here. And so when I see stuff like that, I'm not asking you to be like the greatest dude in the world. I'm not asking you to make every shot. All I ask, bro, is that you grind. And when I see you come off the court every single time, or you play 8 or 9 minutes and you ain't sweating, that doesn't ever sit well with me. Never. I don't care if you are, the worst player in the gym. I don't care if you're the best player in the gym.
Hey, you know what I call Bryce now? I call Bryce Coach Boom.
But I ain't getting no text though.
Bryce looked at that kid. He said, "Who's your dad? You know who's your daddy when you're on this bus?" Who's your daddy?
That's
Who's your daddy when you put this Kansas uniform on?
That's classic.
But I ain't getting no text though.
That's honestly what upset me, Bryce, with my 16U kids.
Like, how have you made it thus far playing basketball to the point where you're 16, 17, or whatever, and you're not sweating?
Man, you know how though, Bryce? Sometimes, and I feel like I've been guilty of it sometimes, that you get so caught up in the technical pieces of the game and what's being run and what's being executed, and are we making adjustments, and should I switch defenses, or what about my rotations, what's going on, that sometimes playing hard makes a big ass difference with all of that.
I watch that shit, bro. That's the main thing. I
had a big issue with that with my 16s. Like,
and you know what, and then what takes it to a whole nother level is when I evaluate you in practice or tryout, and I feel like you about to be really good, and then you play a game, and then but the main reason that you're not really good is because you don't know how to try hard. It's because you don't know how to play hard. That grinds my gears so much. Like, I can't even explain it.
Kids and parents can't understand what effort. They're killing me. effort is it's something that you can't teach. Effort is something you can't coach. You can't draw it up on a dry erase board. You can't talk. You could talk about it all you want, but you're not gonna be able to get it out of a kid if they don't have it in them.
Yeah, Dre, and I'm gonna keep it. Honestly, I'll probably only call 2 plays this weekend, at most 3. We was letting them play.
Which one? Let's go and kick it out.
One,
Hey,
push it down the floor. Hey, there you go.
Because everybody got that play in the AAU book.
Hey, that pick and roll, you better know when to kick it out. That's it.
hey,
So I'm watching the game, bro. Like I can see what you're doing.
hey, you know what's funny though? When you become an AAU vet, it's some great teams out there, but the teams that love to do all that clapping and hollering,
I hate that.
It'll work on the rookie teams because it's intimidation.
Yes.
And so it was a team that was doing it. It's a really good team actually, and they did it with us. And me and Bryce was sitting there just laughing. They don't even know what we about to do. It's maybe 3-4 minutes left in the game. We almost up. The game's not over. Only thing you hear, Bryce, get him out of here. Get him out of here. I'm like, bro, the game.
Hey, I called my alley-oop inbounds play. At that point, I did that shit over with. Stop all that clapping, man. Like, even in warm-ups on court 3. Hey,
Yep.
hey. I'm like, can y'all shut up down there and play the game?
Hey man, I didn't talk any trash this weekend. Well, I did, but I got pulled into it. My guy Dana King was like,
oh, he was on your ass. That's my dude.
oh my God, bro, out of nowhere.
Oh, he was on your head. He was on your head.
On my head, bro. So before the game started, he walks over to me and he taps me and he was like, "Oh, you know I'm on y'all ass, right?" And I what? I was like,
Why you do that? Why you do that? That's my
right,
guy.
I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling, dog. Like,
You said something about the podcast.
man, I said nothing to my boy, dog. Like nothing. So I'm like, all right. We talked to each other the whole game, bro. Like it was a lot of fun.
Good job.
Yeah, we won.
Georgia Receivers.
I did that with Team Georgia Magic with Butts. Like during the entire warm up against the Canes, I'm sitting on the Team Georgia Magic team and on the bench with Buck. That's talking. We talking about talking shit about our players. We talking good and bad. And I was looking, I was like, all right, now I'm finna get up. So I'm gonna drop this 20-piece lemon pepper.
Yeah, he said, hey man, they came out and I think we made a run first. They came back and made a run, and they got the talking. I said, all right, hey man, just watch that little thing right there. Keep watching that little thing right there. Get on y'all ass, boy.
You know what? I'm gonna be this weekend though, Dre.
It's going down.
I'm gonna be out there watching that matchup with you and Swain.
You got Swain. You playing Swain this weekend, Dre?
Yeah, we do. 8:00 in the morning. We got Swain.
Oh nah, it's
Yeah.
They got you 8:00 and you coming from across town?
Never mind.
Fam. I'm getting a hotel room, bro. I'm not driving to Swanee at 8:00 in the morning.
That's still early for you across the street.
Right.
Yeah. I'm used to. I'm a small, humble, independent program, bro. I'm used to playing at 8.
Dre, you ain't used to nothing. Listen, how many years you been doing this?
Hey,
We've been at this for a minute. Well, I haven't been at 17U, but I've been coaching my guys for a minute. I've had the group of 16U kids I've had since 7th grade. And yeah, I did put DeJuan on punishment for not playing hard. Yes. But I could do that to my kid. I wish I could put my entire 16U team on punishment. No TV, no cell phone.
I'll tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna get that slip.
Yeah.
And then you won't be wearing that jersey no more.
Hey, they see that and they don't understand that because
there are so many AAU teams.
Yeah, I'm in they don't understand it on Man Up because we've been so loyal. We don't. The guys that started with us in 7th grade, we've never recruited over them. Mm-hmm. They've always had a spot with us. We don't cut them. We don't You know what I mean? Like we don't even go and recruit guys that are, over them. Like we stay loyal. Like those are our guys. Yeah, we bring in some new players, but we kind of stay loyal to our guys. So I don't think sometimes people understand or respect that all the time, or sometimes they feel like, yo, this is, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, we have to play a certain way.
Dre, if you could
We got to play a certain way.
if you could rate your strength of schedule from last weekend, what would it be?
My strength of schedule, I hated our schedule last week. And I don't like to say that out loud because I love Sean and I understand why we ended up with the schedule that we had. But I didn't like it. I didn't like it even for my 16U. I was not happy.
That's not. I'm not asking you about the times. I'm asking you the strength.
No, he's talking about the teams.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
He's facing some weak level teams, in my opinion, because we didn't know some of the players that showed up that weekend. We didn't know they was on his team. So now he had a little more,
I don't think he knew either.
I mean, we only had one person come that I wasn't expecting necessarily to be there. But the rest of the team I knew. Like I worked really hard to get those guys locked in. So we knew. And I get it. You know what I mean?
What y'all record?
We were 17U was 4-0, 16U was 2-2. We had 3 16U games going to overtime.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, but I was not happy. Those 16U games were close because we didn't play hard and we did not defend.
So, how much I want to bet? How many kids y'all think gonna play at Lake Point and Swanee this weekend?
Wow.
First of all, that's commitment, and if they can figure out a way how to do it, God bless.
No, I'm not even talking about the same team. I feel like some kids are going to play at Lake Point and say, no.
I wasn't talking about the same team. I was talking exactly what you would reference.
Which teams and go play?
You know what though? Here's the kicker that people
They
don't
play with
understand.
man up at 8, show up at noon at Lake Point, get back to the 5 o'clock game at Swanee.
Here's the thing though.
I do gotta have a conversation with a kid that missed our games this weekend playing for another team and wants to run with us this weekend. Like we gotta have a conversation because
Here's the thing though, Dre. Here's what you watch. Here's what I watch. So if you come and play with us and you do pretty well, and we win in games, and you go over there, if you don't win no games, you ain't playing no well. That's on you. Now you made yourself look bad.
yeah.
So now when you come back, I can do what I want to do.
Facts.
Don't be mad when I jump in my inbox.
Yep. And some parents need to understand that too, because I always go like this: you don't want your spouse, your partner, whatever, to go cheat and go play and hang out with somebody else. Why would you want your kid to do it here?
And the thing about it is, if it's not the quantity of the games that you play, it's the quality, right? So if I play 4 games last weekend, and 4 of those games I play really well, I can take a week off because I got some buzz. I got some tweets, I got some write-ups. You know, and I might have got a little video. I don't have to play every weekend, and I can rest my body. I can get some shots up or whatever I need to do. And a lot of people don't realize that I don't need to play every weekend, bro. If everybody knows it's an event going on this weekend, they know it's on the radar this weekend, so they know they're watching the timeline. They watching it. So if you play well, I don't have to jump into another jersey. You know, you don't have to do that.
You don't. You don't have to do that because, like, it just doesn't take all that to get an offer, man. Go find somebody that's playing in good events. Go play the right way.
That's all you can do, man.
Hey, Fonzo, I gotta ask you a question. This guy Tom just brought up his name. Did you see Lenny Cook play in high school?
Did I see Lenny Cook play in high school?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. But I did see LeBron play in high school against Carmelo.
What about Bastion?
Sebastian?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
I mean, this sounds like a stupid question. I know he was cold, but like, what made him different from any other guard that was his height?
Confidence. I mean, because when and it's not like he had a strong upper body, he had a lot of skills and things of that nature, but he was confident. He knew that probably some of the best competition he played was during family cookouts. You know, and he knew that if he's being taught by Jamal Thomas as well as Steph Marbury and all his other cousins, is like, dude, where else? If you've been through that fire,
yeah, you can get through anything.
Yeah, you looking at the competition like, yeah, I ain't tripping.
Is there anybody from Georgia that you would compare to that played like that?
Actually, a name from the past who I really like, and he's one of my favorites that I covered that probably is about the same size as Tukey Brown.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
and Tukey was cold blooded because the one thing I liked about Tukey, you couldn't tell if he had a bad game, not that he had many, and you couldn't tell if he had a good game. He was just out there playing and didn't care who you were. He was gonna sit there and compete and play. And this is a kid who could have probably gone to any other school in the country and chose to stay in the state and go to Georgia Southern and obviously do what he did in his career there. You know, he was that kind of kid in terms of body frame and making sure that he was there to compete. It wasn't, you know, he was just more of like, yo, I'm gonna just do what I gotta do. And he wasn't about even sometimes the acknowledgement. He was just like, yo, I just want to be able to, you know, compete and do what I got to do. Let's get to it, Dre. You might as well.
Hey, listen, man.
I opened the door. Let's go.
Hey, they have been relentless for an hour and 42 minutes to counting. They've been relentless.
I respect it. I respect it.
Let's go ahead, man. Is New York still the mecca of basketball? If it's not, what happened? Is Georgia basketball better than New York basketball now? Look,
I'll go on public record to say it, and I've said it privately to many of people in all the stops that I've been at. Georgia is the best basketball to me in the places that I've lived at.
Wow.
What are the places that you've lived at? Just
I've
for
lived
clarity.
in North Carolina, both East and West North Carolina. Lived in Central Florida, so I've watched all of Florida basketball as well. Lived obviously in Georgia and in New York, both in the city and in upstate. And I've traveled to Texas, but I can't put and say that it's better than Texas because I haven't had a full body of work in there. And I've been to a few different places. I mean, even been to Indiana and watched some basketball up that way. High school basketball, not just travel ball. A lot of it has always been high school too.
So why is New York basketball not the same as it used to be?
Again, the one thing when I first was starting out with Hoop Scene, of course, I was your typical New Yorker, like, yo, New York this, New York that, and I'm still a New Yorker at heart. Don't get it twisted. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to look at it. And part of what I've noticed in terms of the differences between the two states, two cities, however you want to look, so many Northerners are moving south, right? True. So back in, let's just say 2006, 7, you had a lot of not only just Northeasterners, Midwesterners moving south. They brought their brand of basketball with them. All right. And Georgia wasn't always like this over the years. And since basketball, and you guys have talked about it, and there's many historians, basketball was good in Georgia, but football always dominated. Football always stole the headline. But then as the consistency of development, the consistency of playing, the consistency, yes, as Damon from Ohio, I mean, you brought your brand of basketball down, you know, that consistency and that grit came with him. You know what I mean? That grit came with the understanding of, hey, this is the brand that we want to bring in. So then those who are from Georgia, you know, I'm not gonna say took offense, realized, looked around, like, yo, we're not gonna let these outsiders just solely dominate what we're gonna do. You know, let's go ahead and do our part. So when those two collaborations happen, now you have the brand of basketball that you currently have here in Georgia. You know, because you don't just have one situation where you're just like, oh, we're only going to do this, we're only going to do that, you know. And one thing I've come to realize in many of my stops, Georgia seems to be all the stops are cliquish. All the stops are cliquish, but Georgia happens to embrace it. If you know what you're doing, if you know what you're talking about, they're willing to embrace an outsider. They're willing to look at things in a different perspective.
I like it.
I always wondered why for years you always heard about the New York guards. Now we barely hear about guards coming from New York. I think the last few have been like Isaiah Whitehead, the Jelly Fam team, and those guys. But like you said, growing up, we heard about the Lance Stevensons, the Sebastian Telfairs, and different things like that. Why do you think we don't hear about these type of guards anymore?
Because a lot of those guards are moving out of state.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those guards, I mean, you know, you talk about Isaiah Whitehead, he stayed at Lincoln. You see what I'm saying? You talk about Sebastian, they stayed at Lincoln. I mean, I'll even talk about one recent New York guard that nobody really talked about outside of New York was Jose Alvarado, all right, who just finished at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Everybody in New York was like, man, I don't know him going down to Georgia Tech, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, I even was like, Georgia Tech, that's a big leap. But there's obviously something Josh seen in him, because traditionally Georgia Tech has had this strong pipeline with New York City guards to come down and compete. You know, we're talking about Kenny Anderson. We're talking about, you know, Stephon Marbury. You got so many kids, so many guys who played before. So here's your chance. You know, they take a chance on a kid who everybody felt should have gone to St. John's or should have gone somewhere else locally. And while it wasn't the 4 years that he probably would have expected it, but it ended up working out for him in so many ways because of the grit that he had from playing at Christ the King, from playing in New York, from being part of that New York makeup. Because let's be real, like some of the things, and it's been, you know, you watched it in real time down here in Georgia, is, you know, he was going through some stuff, but he still managed to stick it out because he realized, like, yo, this is going back home ain't an option for some kids. And he wasn't trying to make that an option. So it's, you know, you just have a lot of kids, you have a lot of options where even just let's take this pandemic year, you unfortunately got kids who left New York to go to schools, or excuse me, to move to states that actually were playing basketball, even if it was just going to New Jersey or Pennsylvania. You know, so that's where a lot of the things are happening. That's where some of the hiccups are going on.
Bryce always reps the DMV, but I feel like once we get a shot clock, bro, it's dead, Bryce.
What? I would let my kids run. I mean, I missed the conversation, but what were you saying?
No, he just literally just.
I'm just saying that, yeah, you always rep the DMV, but I feel like once Georgia gets a shot clock, we're gonna catch up to all that too.
Nah, it ain't about the shot clock though. I'm catching up, bro. The guard play in DC, they bigger, they physical, and the IQ is better.
Guard play is always going to play a factor.
It's not really shot clock.
How come they don't come here and play?
Because we ain't enough for that.
Ivy.
You gotta go to the math and get that work, man. You gotta go to WCAC. Shit, they ain't traveling down here unless it's a national event, unless it's hoops giving us something probably like that, and they still probably ain't gonna come.
And that's a fact.
Let me ask you this question, Dre. Do you think any schools in Georgia that we have could beat Paul VI?
It's tough.
Why you gotta go there?
Just ask him.
Look, he went to the top of the cake.
And on a normal year, can any schools beat Gonzaga or DeMatha? I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't. I played Gonzaga from Westlake, and we had Chuma and Danny and Jamie, and they still beat us.
I think we could catch them. I think a school could catch a DeMatha. We've seen teams load up in Georgia.
It would have to be a private school. I'm thinking.
I don't know of one this year, but we've seen teams load up and do it. Speaking of which, are we saying what's the
right? You know the big man that play at Michigan right now, the 7-footer?
Dickinson.
Nobody has an answer for him in Georgia.
Or when Garza played there.
The dude at North Carolina right now, Armando Baycott, nobody has an answer for him.
Walker Kessler is gone, bro. He was here.
I think he's bigger than Walker though, so I think Walker still might.
Yes, he is. He moves furniture. That kid.
Yeah, he's a big
That
guy.
kid moves, clears out space pretty good.
That's just a couple examples. I mean, Trevor Keels, like that's like the best guard in the
Hey,
country.
talk that talk, Damon. I'm glad I got some. I'm glad I got some.
Beat Paul 6 by 20, Bryce.
Game 20 ball.
Ooh, that was when Kobe Simmons was here.
More than likely.
More likely. Malik and them.
I can see that. It had to be a private school. It ain't gonna be no. I mean, and that look at that team. That's one of the best teams ever.
Hey, speaking of teams, why we don't hear much about the Gauchos anymore?
Great question. And part of that is because now that leadership has changed in terms of the direction they're going. Book Richardson is there now. You know, used to be at Arizona. He's a Gaucho alum.
Good for him. How's he
First
doing?
of all, he should be in the college sideline, and I'm not going to get on here and beat the table about that. But I'm happy for him. He's had a happy space.
Yeah.
The reason being is because they were on the Under Armour circuit. All right. So you didn't really get to see much of them because previous years they used to be Nike.
Yeah.
Then as you mentioned, lack of players coming through that program. Then you have the emergence of the Wrens.
Wrens tough.
The Wrens, they do a great job in not only getting guys, but also just trying to keep a lot of those guys in the city or just get some of the best guys. You also got PSA Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they do a fantastic job in not.
That's who Anthony played for, right?
Yes, and Mo Bamba played for them as well. They actually play on the same team, and and Hamidou Diallo played with the Wrens. So and before that, he was actually with the New York Jayhawks the previous year. So, those are the reasons why you have now Gauchos have formed some sort of a partnership. And I mentioned, I heard you guys say that about teams merging, but they didn't change the name. Now they're doing a partnership with the Wrens. Now the Wrens are actually going to play EYBL circuit 15s through 17. Gauchos is going to represent Gauchos and go not independent, but they're also going to play some other events. But they're more focused on the middle school. So it's almost as if Gauchos is becoming a feeder for the Wrens, and again they got a partnership with what they do. You also got New York Lightning. New York Lightning, at one point, like I said, there was two. If there's still two, I don't know if at the time Lightning, if before the Wrens went over, and if there was at one time 3 Nike teams in New York City, and then you also got City Rocks, which is in upstate New York, which is about from the Gauchos gym, probably almost an hour and a half drive. So you have all these teams, and with everyone trying to play on the stage, someone's going to lose out.
Why is it that New York got like three Nike teams? Like how'd that happen?
Well, I don't think they have it anymore.
Oh, okay.
They might. That's why I was trying to figure out when, because at one point the Rens was Adidas.
Yeah.
And then the year after the Hamidou Diallo's final year on travel ball, that's when he joined the Rens and they became Nike. So that's what but I'm not, I can't remember if there were 3 teams, but again, you talk about the Rens, you talk about PSA Cardinals. There's just so many quality programs, and then Riverside Hawks, they're an Adidas program that when I say they're up and coming, their younger groups are loaded with some talent. And if they manage to keep them, they're gonna be back on people's mind here real soon.
Hey, Bryce taking these recruiting calls during the show.
I respect
it. Some of these on.
I respect it.
He got to put some of these on speaker, man.
I respect it.
Hey, Lock, who on Bryce line, bro?
I doubt it's a female.
Oh, that's a shot. That's a shot. That's terrible.
Hey, so we spoke about the high school in New York. I was a big street ball fan, especially in the New York area. I feel like street ball is not what it is as it used to be. Why you think is that? Because I think my dream for growing up was to play at the World Cup, playing the EBC Classic.
Yeah, look, the one time that I had a chance to do it, and I'll say that one time, only because I was subbing in, they asked me to come play. It was probably one of the best feelings I had, But what's crazy part about my only thought there was, yo, don't get crossed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get crossed up, but don't get dunked on. But in reality, I think it's just in so many cases, things have died down. Things aren't what they used to be. But I will tell you this: Rucker is still Rucker. West Fourth is still West Fourth. But if you've never had a chance to go to Dyckman Park in Uptown Manhattan, that's a different world. There's a different kind of energy in there. And that right there is true standing room only. They got bleachers all up and down. The sidelines you have at Dyckman Park, you got an electric scoreboard. As if you had a high school gym. So it's a different kind of energy. And yeah, kids aren't playing outside anymore. Kids are more.
The good kids are not playing outside.
No. Yeah, you're right. The good kids aren't playing unless, again, it's somebody's having a special event that's going to bring out all the good kids. Like I remember when the Jelly Fam Day took place, and I wasn't necessarily in New York when that took place, and Isaiah Washington put that together with JQ for Jelly Fam Day. I mean, the energy for that event, just watching it on video, was stupid. You know what I mean? Because all the best kids who have built their name via social media were there, and they just went to town and put on a show. But also, just like here in Georgia, that everyone is putting together events, you also have people putting together events up in New York in a lot of these parks. So there could be Dyckman. Well, Rutgers runs during the week a lot of times, as does Dyckman. Then you have it just slipped my mind. The tournament on the weekends at Orchard Beach in the Bronx. I mean, so you just have so many options to play. And again, before it was just 3 or 4 parks. West Fourth, Rucker, Soul in the Hole in Brooklyn. Those places that, again, being able to go through those spots as a kid or even as a reporter or just a person to play, those were experiences. And I would never trade it for anything else. And that's why I'm a realist when it comes to New York. Like, I love New York, but I also know that some of its flaws have slipped up.
So I gotta ask one last question before we get out of here. If the playoffs started today,
No, the Knicks aren't making it.
the New York Knicks would be a 5 seed. Are the Knicks back? Is it Knicks tape
Listen,
time?
I'm a diehard Knicks fan, and I'm not ready to go there with that they're back. They're
Julius
close.
Randle.
They're close.
Hey,
They're close. They're closer than I had anticipated. I'll be honest with you. All right. And I was glad that there were no crazy or stupid trades made today where we gave up the franchise. You know, and I am excited with hopefully one day to see Jared Harper playing a Knicks uniform in Madison Square Garden. Because I've been talking crazy to a lot of my friends back in New York, and they're like, yo, who is this kid? I was like, don't worry about it. One day you will understand why we have him.
Sure.
So, but
For sure.
I love what they're doing. You know, I'm not going to be sold on fool's gold just yet. You know, if they make it, great. If they don't make it, I guess, hey, we just keep them pieces and build around them.
So they got some good pieces that they could just keep building. I've seen Julius Randle in person. That's a big guy.
Shoot, I seen him when he was playing with the EYBL team out of Texas. Like, that's a big joker.
Big dude.
Yeah. And it's, you know, with him, I'll just talk about him. Like, with him, is just finding the right coach to put you in the right situation.
Because
it happened at the pro level.
With the Lakers, he looked good with the Lakers too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just finding the right fit that suits your game, suits the way you're able to play, and a coach who's willing to give you the keys. Even though we got the most guys at the same size on any given roster ever put together.
Yeah.
Everybody's 6'8".
They're gonna get rid of, what's his name though? What's his name? Kevin
Knox.
Knox.
Yeah, they might get rid of him.
They might. Maybe. I mean, obviously the deadline for this year, but or is it tonight? Yeah, tonight was the deadline.
I was at 3.
Yeah.
I was hoping they would pick up Drummond, but something to pick up Drummond, and I like Mitch Robinson.
Mitch quickly. Nerlens. It's a good roster.
It is a very good roster.
It's a good roster.
Very good roster. You know.
So, man, we appreciate you coming on and kicking it with us, man.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me, for real, man. Yeah. Salute to what you guys are doing. Continue. And everybody who watched this for the last 2 hours, I appreciate y'all. But more importantly, continue to support these men, you know, because they're giving back to the game in a way that most people aren't. And thank you again for the opportunity, for sure.
For sure, man. Honored to have you, man. Our pleasure. That's our show, man. No show Sunday. We coaching. We in the gym. So
you coaching.
I'm coaching. I'll be at the Hoop Scene Tip-Off Classic. There are games at Lake Point this weekend. Go check out some games at Lake Point. Check out games in Swanee if you're nearby. Support your local player. Kids, if you had a rough weekend last weekend, it's okay, man. Keep working, man. Rome's not built in a day. Everything's all good. If you had a great weekend last weekend, now you got to come back out. You got to do it again, man.
Yeah.
Everybody stay up. Y'all be blessed, man. We out.
Yeah. And unsigned seniors, don't let them other guys hate on y'all for playing.
Yeah. But if you got offers, go ahead and commit.
Yeah.
No doubt.
He was out here getting wild on Twitter.